All right, question 11. 20 years ago, 56% of parents of children in high school felt it was a serious problem that the high school students were not being taught enough math and science. A recent survey found that 288 of 800 parents of children in high school felt it was a serious problem that high school students were not being taught enough math and science. Do parents feel differently today than they did 20 years ago? Use alpha equals 0.01 level of significance, so 10%. So we need to set up null, alternative, and decide results. So the null, this looks like it's going to be a proportion test. It's going to be the proportion is equal to 0.56 or 56% versus the question said, do parents feel differently today than they did 20 years ago? So it just says differently. It doesn't say more or less. So we're going to do alternative is the proportion is not equal to 56%. So we just want to know differently. So we got conditions that we have to meet. N times P times 1 minus P needs to be greater than or equal to 10. We also have to check that N, the sample size, is less than, or sorry, just strictly less than 5% of the population. So it says because N, P, and 1 minus P equals, so let's find out what that is. So N was 800 times the 56 times 1 minus the 56 will be 0.44. It's greater than 10. So that's round to 1 decimal place, so 197.1. Greater than 10. The sample size is now, it just says children in high school. So I'm pretty sure there's a lot more. So 800 is going to be small. It's going to be less than 5% of the population. The sample because it doesn't say a random sample. Let's make sure. Sorry, it just says a survey. Okay, so we can assume that it's going to be random. Requirements for testing the hypothesis are satisfied. The null population equal 0.56 versus alternative population is not equal to 0.56. The test statistic, which once we know the alpha, we can get all of that from StatCrunch. However, if you want to compute it, P hat minus P divided by standard deviation, P minus or times 1 minus P divided by N. We have all these values. The P hat is going to be the 288 divided by 800. .36, And from there we could put all that in, but we're going to just let StatCrunch go from there. So what we want to do is proportion one sample with summary. Number of success is going to be 288. Observations was 800. We are testing 0.1 level of significance. This is 0.56. So it's going to be a 90%. Since alpha, we can show the critical value. I think that's all we need. So this gives us sample proportion. That's the 36 we just did. Standard deviation, critical value, gives us confidence interval, and we want to do the p-value approach. So we can also do options, can edit. We can do a hypothesis test, compute that as well, and this gives us the p-value. So this is just saying our p-value is less than 0.0001, which means when we are doing just different than, we would have this alpha, which is equal to 10. We would divide that by 2, and give us 0.05. So we have two tails, 0.05 over here, 0.05 over here. We're finding out if our p-value is less than alpha, it's on either side, it's different. So we are getting that it is 0.0001. So that means it's way less. It's definitely in the rejection region. So we would reject the claim that it's equal in favor that parents' opinions have changed. It's not the same. So the Z statistic, critical Z 1.96. No, that's not the one we're looking for. I think I need to compute this one. I don't think I saw that one. To make sure. No, here we go. Here's the Z-stat. That's the one we're looking for. So this one here, the Z-stat, is this one, and then that's the Z-critical. So you can compare those, or you can compare the p-value. Both of them give the same result. So we are looking at negative 11.39, but that rounds up to 11.4, negative 11.4. Okay. And just to drive this home, let me go ahead and show you that here. So you would do 0.36 minus 0.56 over the square root of 0.56, 0.44. That's 1 minus 0.56 over the square root of 800. So I'm going to punch that in the calculator just to kind of drive that point home. Alpha y equal enter, make that fraction bar 0.36 minus 0.56, and then second square root, and make a fraction there. And I'm going to do 0.56 times 0.44 divided by 800. And you see that negative 11.39, same thing we got in the StatCrunch output right there. Okay, so the p-value, it says round the 3 decimal places, is just going to be 0.00, I mean it's going to be 0, roughly. Roughly 0, because 3 decimal places got 0, 0, 0, and then you got a 1. And then it says determine the conclusion. So again, what we said is we are going to reject this claim because we fall in the rejection region. So we're going to reject the null there is strong evidence that parents feel differently. So since p-value is less than alpha, p-value that says greater than, p-value is less than alpha, reject the null, conclude there is sufficient evidence that parents feel differently. So B is going to be our conclusion.